In this video, acquiring Honduran citizenship by descent. If you have a parent or grandparent who was born in Honduras, you are entitled to Honduran citizenship and a Honduras passport. If you've ever wondered about reconnecting with your Honduran roots or gaining the benefits of Honduran nationality, which we'll get into in this video is for you. So sit back, relax, and let's explore this journey together. The Honduran passport is very underrated and offers a unique opportunity for individuals with Honduran lineage to claim citizenship. This is an increasingly popular program, and this process, known as citizenship by descent, is rooted in the principle of jus sanguinis, or right of blood. That's a Latin term, which means nationality can be passed down through the generations, irrespective of where you were born. There's gotta be, who knows, hundreds of thousands or even millions of Honduran descendants in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, watching this video, even in Mexico. And you guys are all entitled to Honduran citizenship, and we can make this happen. So to begin, understanding the legal framework is crucial. Honduran citizenship by descent primarily caters to individuals who have at least one parent or grandparent who is a Honduran citizen by birth. This means if your mother or father was born in Honduras, your grandparents were born in Honduras, you might be eligible for citizenship regardless of your birthplace. And don't worry if you don't have the documents. Maybe you don't have your grandparents' birth certificate from Honduras. Don't worry, we can help you get these documents as part of this service that we provide. To backtrack a bit, the story of Honduran nationality law traces back to the country's constitution, which has evolved over time to reflect changes in both national policy and international norms. It's very common to be able to get citizenship by parents or grandparents in lots of different countries, right? We've helped people do it in Mexico and Argentina, pretty much every country in Latin America. And for those born abroad, meaning outside of Honduras, the key is proving that at least one parent or grandparent holds Honduran nationality by birth. This distinction is vital because citizenship conferred by naturalization doesn't pass down in the same way. If your parent is a naturalized Honduran citizen, it's a little bit more complicated. But if your parent or grandparent was born in Honduras, it's a pretty clear-cut case. Now, let's talk about the practical steps involved. First, you're going to gather your documents. Like I said, we can help you get the birth certificate in Honduras, marriage certificates, all these things you're going to need for the Honduran origin person, right? Your Honduran descendant. You're also going to need your birth certificate, which should show the lineage. It should show your parents' names. And if we're going to grandparents, then you're going to want every generation, right? So you're going to want your birth certificate, your parents' birth certificates, the grandparents' birth certificates, possibly marriage certificates as well. And if the parents have passed away, you'll probably want the death certificates as well. Documentation here is not just about proving lineage, but also to ensure that the lineage is unbroken and directly linked back to a Honduran national by birth. All these documents are going to need to be apostilled. If you don't know what it is, we have some videos on the channel explaining the apostille process, but basically it's like a authentication for use abroad, so that you would apostille your American birth certificate, and then that would make it valid for use in Honduras. Okay. Next, you'll need to apply. There's a couple processes here. So the goal is to get you a Honduran birth certificate yourself. Now, I know it might seem strange that even though you, the listener, were not born in Honduras, you can get a Honduran birth certificate. And in fact, that's what you need to get in order to get the Honduras passport. So you'll be getting a Honduran birth certificate. It's not uncommon. Lots of countries do this. Even, Italy can make you an Italian birth certificate, even if you weren't born in Italy, right? And that Honduras birth certificate is essentially your certificate of citizenship. Okay? And then once you have that Honduran birth certificate, you can use that to apply for a Honduran passport. Okay? The Honduran government requires as well that all citizens, including those by descent, to register in the National Population Registry. This step formalizes your status as a Honduran citizen. The registration, it can be a bit of a bureaucratic dance. It's a bit of a slow process, but we have a really, really good team of English-speaking Honduran lawyers that have done this hundreds of times, and they know how to navigate the process. This is definitely something you would not want to do yourself. But just so you know, it's not overnight either. This process takes time. It could take 6 months up to a year or more, depending on if you're going 1 generation or 2 generations back. So don't think this is the kind of thing that you can just pick up any time and it's ready 2 weeks later. It's going to be a relatively long process, which is why you should engage us as soon as possible to get the ball rolling, get the process started, and in due course, you will have that Honduras passport in your hands. But like all things in the world of passports and citizenships and residencies, these things, the rules change over time. And if you qualify, the best thing you can do is just get on it right away and do it right away. So there's going to be a link in the description where you can book a call and start the engagement with us, MyLatinLife, to begin the process of obtaining Honduran citizenship by descent. I'll also put a link in the description for the service as well, where you could just order the service with the Buy Now button if you so choose. But I generally recommend you book a call with us first, and we can kind of look at your holistic situation. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be asking about dual citizenship, so let's address that. Honduras allows its citizens to hold more than one nationality, which means that you do not necessarily have to renounce your current citizenship to become Honduran, okay? However, this is contingent on the laws of your other country of citizenship. Some countries might not recognize or allow dual nationality, so, check both sides of the legal coin. But, long story short, the US, Canada, Europe, every country in Latin America, they all recognize dual citizenship, generally speaking. So being American and Honduran, there's no problem with that, especially for citizenship by descent. If you hear something different, if you hear something about Honduras, forcing people to renounce their previous citizenship, that would be in the process of naturalization. That would not be citizenship by descent, because naturalization and citizenship by descent are viewed differently, okay? In citizenship by descent, the concept of jus sanguinis, or right of blood, is basically that you're already a Honduran citizenship and we're just taking the steps to have it recognized legally, okay? Whereas naturalization is different. In the naturalization process, they do kind of want you to renounce your previous nationalities. It is technically just a formality and you don't have to actually renounce. It's a little bit complicated, but for the purposes of citizenship by descent, you do not have to worry about that. Obtaining this Honduras passport via your parents or grandparents is going to have absolutely zero effect on your status as a US citizen, a Canadian citizen, European citizen, etc. Okay, so now that we know that it's not going to affect things and you're able to have dual nationality, let's talk a little bit about the benefits. What does Honduras citizenship bring to the table? For starters, it grants you the right to live, work, and study in Honduras without the need for visas. You can buy property, invest, and enjoy the same rights as any other Honduran, including voting in elections and participating in the political process. There's also the emotional aspect, a connection to your heritage, an opportunity to engage with the culture that's part of an identity. You'll probably learn more about your family history through this process. And I know people listening to this might not have a desire to live in Honduras full time. even though there are some nice places like the island of Roatan. But having a Honduran passport has a lot of other benefits beyond just Honduras. So for one thing, Honduras is part of the CA4, the Central American 4 community, together with Guatemala, Nicaragua, and El Salvador, meaning that you would actually get residence rights in the other CA4 countries, meaning if you had a Honduran passport, you could legally move to El Salvador without the need for a visa. You could basically just show up and ask for residency. Okay, you could move to Guatemala. You could, get driver's license, open bank accounts. You could buy property in any of the CA4 countries. You could start businesses in a much easier way. So there's a lot of benefits to being a citizen of a CA4 country. Okay. Then there's also going to be other benefits to being recognized as a Latin citizen, which might include having an accelerated path to citizenship in Spain, where you would have a 2-year path to citizenship in Spain. It might mean an accelerated path to citizenship in other Latin American countries, because most Latin American systems, they have this concept of preferred nationality, where you can actually naturalize faster. So I believe in Mexico, you would have a 2-year path to citizenship instead of a 5-year path to citizenship. Okay. In El Salvador, you would have a 1-year path to citizenship instead of a 5-year path to citizenship. And these benefits extend often to South America as well, where, if you're viewed as a Latino, it's a preferred nationality, and it can help with things like that. Okay. And then there's benefits to any second passport. I've made a video about this before, the benefits of a second passport. But so there's the benefits of Honduran passport. There's the benefits of a CA4 passport. And then there's the benefits of a Latino passport. And then there's the benefits of any second passport. And our philosophy here is that you should pick up any second passport that you can possibly get, as long as it's not on a sanctions list, which is like 5 countries. But any of the other 190 countries in the world, it's a no-brainer to get the citizenship, because there's no downside. There's no, military service requirement. There's no conscription. There's no taxes that you need to owe if you're not living there full time. So if there's no military, there's no taxes, there's really no downside, but there's really a lot of upside. Okay? It can also fill in some holes in your visa-free travel as well. I don't have the list in front of me. I got to look it up, but Honduras should give you visa-free access to Russia, maybe to Iran, a couple different places to fill in gaps in your passport that your American passport or Canadian passport does not have currently, right? So it should increase your visa-free travel around the world. Cool? So, coming back to the application process, it might seem straightforward. Expect some hurdles. Expect it to be slow. We're going to help you collect all the documentation. We're going to put legal experts who specialize in Honduran nationality law on the case, which is going to be invaluable. And the most important thing I want to emphasize is that you just have to start these processes right away. I've talked to people and they say, yeah, just give me a couple months, I'll get started in a couple months. I mean, there's no reason to wait a couple months, because this process is going to take 6 months to a year. It's fairly slow. It's different for every country. We also help people with, say, Mexican citizenship by descent, and that can be very fast. Like, that can take less than 30 days. Honduras, at the moment, is a little bit of a different story. It's a bit slower process, but it's going to be worth it in the end. Okay? So for those of you considering this path, please book a call with us. Let's get this process started. And if you found this video helpful and are curious about citizenship programs around the world, residency, lowering your taxes, internationalizing, please be sure to subscribe to our channel, like the video, leave a comment as well. We'd love to hear your stories or answer any questions that you might have. If you've been through this process yourself, definitely leave a comment so we can benefit from your experience. And until next time, see you in the next video.